In this video, we'll walk through all of the audio settings on your Pioneer in-dash receiver set up in network mode by using the Pioneer SmartSync app on your phone. Even though your particular in-dash receiver may be a 1-DIN model or a 2-DIN model and may or may not have a built-in CD player, the button operation in this demonstration is identical for the following Pioneer Audio in-dash receiver models: FH-S722BS, FH-S722BS and 622BS, FH-S720BHS, DEH-S 6200BS and 6220BS, DEH-S 7200BHS, FH-S720BS and 722BS. Now, please note, we're going to use the SmartSync app in this video to make all of the audio adjustments, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to use the app. You can do every one of these audio adjustments on the in-dash receiver. You don't have to use this app at all, but I think you're going to find that using the app makes the audio adjustment settings really easy. And in this case, I'm using an iPhone to make the for the SmartSync app, but you'll find that the audio settings here are exactly the same on compatible Android-based phones. So right now we're on the AM/FM radio source, and my app is connected. I know the app is connected because I can see the app indicator lit up on the screen right there. And I'm going to touch the gears up here, and we are going to come down to the audio settings, which is a little speaker there, and we'll select that. So right at the top of the list is our dynamic bass enhancer, and you can see dynamic bass enhancer is switched off. Now, most of the things that you do with the app don't appear to affect the in-dash receiver much. At least on the screen, you can't tell that anything is happening. But dynamic bass enhancer is one of them that's different. So right now it's switched off, and we can see there's no indicator over here from dynamic bass enhancer. If we touch that, we switch it on, and you can see bass pops up over there, and it says dynamic bass enhancer is on low. We can also switch it on to high, but when you switch it high, there's no indicator on the in-dash receiver that says that happened. Now, the bass button here on the receiver is really an on-off switch for your setting for dynamic bass enhancer. So if we hit the bass button, you'll see that it's switched off over here, and of course it says off over here on the app. Next up is the loudness setting over here. So we're going to open that, and we have our choice between low, mid, and high on the loudness. Let's set loudness on high for right now. And there's no indication at all that anything happened on the in-dash receiver, but things are happening. And so let's take a look at that. We're going to press in on the volume control, and let's go to the audio menu. We'll turn the dial here till we get to the audio menu. And here's loudness. You can see that loudness is on high. Let's go back into our settings here. And you can see loudness is on high. If we switch loudness to low, for example, let's go back into the audio settings on the receiver, and I'll show you that this is happening. There you can see loudness is set to low. So everything that we do on the phone over here on the SmartSync app is happening on the in-dash receiver, even though there's no indication that it's happening. Next up is the source level adjuster, and we're on the AM/FM radio source here, so you can see that the source level adjuster is not available on the app, and that's exactly what should happen. The source level adjuster is a way to adjust the level of the source or the volume of the source compared to FM radio. So if we were to change the source, let's see, we'll just press the source button here and change to Bluetooth. All of a sudden now, the source level adjuster becomes available for us. If we change that source again back to the FM radio, we can see that the source level adjuster goes away because the source level adjuster is available for all the sources except FM. So let's change that source to Bluetooth audio or for any source. And here we can make the volume of Bluetooth audio a little louder or a little quieter as compared to the volume on FM. Now, you'll have a source level adjuster available for every source. That's the CD, USB, Bluetooth, auxiliary input, all of them except the radio, because they're all compared to the radio. And the idea here is very simple. When I switch sources here, I don't want a big spike in the volume up or a big spike in the volume down when I change the source. The source volume should remain pretty close to the same. All right, next up is our balance setting. There we go. And please note that this system is set up in network mode, and so all of the speakers are considered to be front speakers, and so there is no fader control in this system. There's only a balance control right and left. And we can just drag this around on the screen to change our balance setting. And if you want, you can use the arrows over here for a little more precise setting. If you want to go back to the center, you can touch the center button there. Let's go back. Let's take a look at the advanced sound retriever settings. You can see that that's grayed out and it's switched off. Advanced sound retriever is available on digital sources, so it's available on the CD, it's available on USB, and anything that is being streamed through Bluetooth. So when I switch to the Bluetooth source, you see that sound retriever comes available and it's switched off. We switched sound retriever on right there to mode number 1, and you can see the sound retriever logo comes up in the screen here. There's advanced sound retriever level number 2. Touch it one more time, and advanced sound retriever is switched off, and you can see that's reflected on the screen over here. Pioneer's advanced sound retriever helps compressed audio sound a little bit more like the original recording. You can use it on any digital source. Try level 1, try level 2, or try to switch it off. Find the setting that works best for you for your particular favorite music. Right, so down the bottom here, we have load and save your settings. Before we get there, let's go to the advanced settings. When we open up the advanced settings, there's a ton of information here, and you get to the details on any given speaker by touching that speaker. So here we can see the left channel and the right channel represented by graphs, and we have the left high speaker here, the left mid-range speaker here, and the subwoofer. Then we have the right high speaker and the right mid-range speaker. Now these are the exact same settings that you get when you're using the settings built into the in-dash receiver. It's just a graphical user interface and much easier to use when you're using the Pioneer SmartSync app on your phone. So let's adjust the settings for the left high speaker by touching that speaker. That opens up the settings there for the left high. You can see that our speaker level is at -4. If we want to make that speaker a little quieter as compared to the others, we can do that, or a little louder as compared to the others, we can do that. The high pass filter for the tweeter is switched on, and that's what we want in this situation. Here is our cutoff frequency. Right now it's at 12.5 kilohertz. Let's take that a little bit lower. There's 10 kilohertz, 8, 6.3, 5 kilohertz. We'll take this down to 4 kilohertz as our crossover point, and then we have the slope available for the crossover here. Right now it's at 24 decibels per octave, but we're going to change that up to 12 decibels per octave. And we can go all the way down to 6 decibels per octave if we want to, but we're going to change that back to 12. And at the bottom here, we have time alignment, but we'll get into time alignment in just a moment. So when I'm done making my adjustments for my left high speaker, I'm going to hit the X to get out of there. Then we can do the same thing for the right high speaker. Now, these adjustments should be exactly the same as they were from the left front speaker. The only one that'll be different is time alignment, and we'll get into the time alignment settings in just a moment. Next, let's go to the left mid-range speaker. Now, the left mid-range speaker has a lot more information here because we have both a high-pass filter and a low-pass filter available for the mid-bass. That means it's really, instead of a high-pass or a low-pass, it's a band-pass filter. So we have to set a high-pass filter and a low-pass filter to make this work. So right now, the high-pass filter is switched off. That means it's a direct pass-through, or we can choose to switch it on. And we have a cutoff frequency and a slope for the high-pass filter. So let's change the cutoff frequency here. We can go all the way down to 25 hertz. And we can go up. All the way up to 250 hertz. The slope here you'll find is 24, 18, 12, or 6 dB per octave. And we also have a low-pass filter available for that bandpass, the bandpass filter on the mid-range. Let's switch the low-pass filter on. When we do that, we have the cutoff frequency here that we can change everywhere. from 12.5 kilohertz all the way down to 1.25 kilohertz. Once you've made your cutoff frequency, you can change the slope here. It's the same slope as the high-pass filter. 24 dB, 12, 24 dB, 18, 12, or 6 dB per octave. And we'll change that back to 12 dB per octave right now. And then, of course, we have the time alignment setting for this speaker at the bottom. But again, we'll touch on time alignment in just a moment. We'll change that one. We'll close that one. Let's go over to the right mid-range. Now, I just set these on the left, so they should be the same as what I just set on the left, and they are. As we scroll down here, you can see all the settings are exactly the same as the one we made to the left mid-bass driver there. The only thing that we can change independently from the left and the right is the time alignment, and again, we'll touch on the time alignment in just a moment. And the bottom speaker here is the woofer. Let's touch that. When we open up the subwoofer, we have a low-pass filter, which is on. We can choose to switch the low-pass filter off if we want. We'll switch it on for right now. And we have the same type of crossover adjustments here. We can choose a crossover frequency. They can go all the way down to 25 hertz. And the slope you'll find here for the subwoofer is a little bit different than the other settings. You can see we're at 36 dB per octave right now. And we can go up to, there's 30, 24, 18, and 12 dB per octave. So an extremely shallow or steep slope for that subwoofer output if you want to. And then we have the time alignment for the subwoofer, of course, independent from all of the other speakers. So let's hit the X there to close out of the subwoofer. Now you can see the graphs represented up here. I wouldn't necessarily set up my system this way, but these are representative graphs of the changes that we made in this particular demonstration. Now let's take a look at our listening position selections. Right now our listening position is focusing the image toward the front left speaker. We can also choose to focus it toward the front right or toward all front speakers, and we'll show you what that looks like. Here we're focused toward the front right, touch the seat, and now it's focused to both seats in both listening positions in the front of the vehicle. And remember, this is set up for network mode, and all the speakers are considered to be front in network mode. And we can choose to switch the listening position off. When the listening position is switched off, time alignment is also switched off. Let's go back in there, and we're going to switch listening position on to the left front speaker. When we do that, the time alignment setting becomes available. Now, since this is sort of like a factory preset for time alignment, focusing the image toward the left, we get time alignment initial. That's not the factory preset for that. If we make an adjustment to time alignment, for example, on the left high speaker here, we'll make an adjustment. We'll change that to 30 inches. Going the wrong way. Let's change it to 30 inches. There we go. We're at 30 inches now. Now go back and look. You can see that we've created custom time alignment. So I can do that for all of the speakers in the vehicle. Scroll down a little here. Close that. And you can see we're on a custom time alignment setting. We can make that same time alignment adjustment for any speaker in the system. So the way time alignment works here is I'm going to measure the distance from my listening position that I've chosen to each speaker in the vehicle. So measure to the tweeter on the left and the mid bass on the left. Measure your position to the tweeter on the right and the mid bass on the right, and measure your position to the subwoofer, and you enter that information into the time alignment setting here. So maybe this would be 61 inches, and you hit the X. So when you're done making your crossover and slope and time alignment function settings, let's go back. And I want to save all of the settings that I did with my audio here. So we're going to hit save. Do you want to save those sound settings? We'll say OK. So my sound settings are saved, and if I change the sound settings, something happens in the vehicle and I need to load them again, I can choose to load them and overwrite the sound settings that I have. When you're done making your adjustments to your audio settings, you can hit the X to escape.